John Yetter here, obviously. I just had a Skype conversation with an MRA who wanted my advice, I guess he wanted my feedback, who has been arguing with a male friend of his from childhood who has drank the feminist Kool-Aid, and of course is arguing, you know, all the wage gap and women's oppression and women are victimized, la 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 la, we live in a patriarchy, men are evil, women would have invented all the stuff in civilization, you know, that raised us out of the mud hut, Stone Age, if it weren't for men holding them down. And he was asking me for how to get through to this guy, how to get this guy into a rational discussion without having him basically constantly shout him down with, you know, every time he begins to make a rational argument, the guy indexes to the next feminist piece of rhetoric and shouts him down and goes, the wage gap, rape culture. And I was unable to give him a rational or rhetorical or logic or evidence-based argument that he could use with this male feminist, former friend, maybe current friend, I don't know. A guy he grew up with who had drank the Kool-Aid and gone squirrely. But I was able to give him at least my understanding of why the rational, logical, or evidence-based argument will not get through to a male feminist. And whether we get through to a female feminist is a totally separate question, because we have two different sets of psychology here. Two different sets of motivations between men and women. Male feminists, a lot of people will have noticed that they're almost more radical, they're more, you know, aggressive in their feminism than female feminists, and they're certainly more violent. And here's why. Their identity is at stake. Remember, men in the blue pill, normal, acculturated world take their positive human value, take their public personhood, are you a good man, are you a bad man, from the consensus of those around them. And we know that social reality, that is, what we accept as real, our ideas, the ideas of our culture, are the ideas of female social reality. It's women who govern that. It's women who basically dictate what social reality is. Wage gap, women are oppressed, we live in a patriarchy. These are all female advantaging ideas. So male feminists, when they start arguing this irrational, evidence objecting, evidence abrogating items of feminist dogma, and you know, you start to talk to them about one item of dogma and they index to the next one. They don't even let you finish, right? You say, well, the wage gap is actually based on people's choices, and people we have different roles in society, and we have different pressures on us, so we make different choices. And as soon as you click, they go to the next one. Rape culture! Well, and so you start arguing, you know, the evidence for rape culture, that the fact that it doesn't exist, or at least it doesn't exist in the sense of it being a female targeting rape culture. Click, on to the next one. Patriarchy! What's at stake, though, isn't the logic, it isn't the evidence. When you start presenting a logical or an evidence-based argument, you're threatening their identity, because they get their identity from the consensus and the approval of the feminist women who they are in contact with. And I'm talking about male feminists here. So they are, as much as we like to think that we're rational, logical creatures, human beings have a brain that is built in layers. You know, the newest layer, and it's layers that evolved throughout history. The most new, the most up-to-date, you know, innovative, brand new thing that we've got is our ability to be rational and objective and to use reason and evidence. That's a brand spanking new evolutionary feature in terms of, you know, the evolution of life on Earth. We've got older parts of our brain, the emotional part, the instinctive part, the early reptile brain, the autonomic nervous system. And our sense of need for identity within the group, of social approval, we have a positive social identity, that comes from an earlier, more primitive part of our brain, which means it's more efficient, it's faster, it's more powerful than our rational brain. People are going to object. Rational brain is more powerful than the emotional brain. Well, rational arguments can lead us, rationality and logic can lead us into more powerful, innovative behavior in terms of science and technology and making computers and creating art and all that stuff. But in terms of motivating human beings, the emotion, the farther down in the brain, the more primitive parts of the brain that are driving those behaviors, the more powerful they are as human motivators. So when you get in an argument with a male feminist and you start presenting logic and evidence, the logic and evidence doesn't matter. You're threatening his identity because he gets his identity from the agreement of the feminist women who have fed him that feminist rhetoric. So in order to get through to a male feminist, you can't shame him. He's already getting shamed from females. You have to give him a positive pathway to identity. You have to give them the ability to have a positive social value, separate from continuing to cleave to the feminist rhetoric. You have to say, look, buddy, you're a good guy. You're a beautiful guy. You're fantastic. You're a human being with huge value. You've got enormous capabilities. You don't need to have the approval of these people. I think you're fantastic. Now, I'm kind of grasping for a way of approving of these guys because I'm not that good at it. But that's the path. These guys have to be allowed to have a positive identity, because if you just approach it with logic, that's what's under threat, and that's a more powerful human motivator than the very modern capability of rationality and logic. So, male feminists, you're okay, buddy. You're a good guy. That's the way we've got to address them. I know this is not going to sit right with a lot of people. They're going to go, but they suck! They don't. They are governed by the same need for human positive recognition that we are. Every fucking human has this need. And that's what makes them controlled by the feminist rhetoric. We've got to give them a path out through the side door. And I guess that's my whole rant. Thanks very much for watching, and have a great day.